And all of us here and many other students in the audience, we helped to construct this together, so we thank you for your time. Since the events of May 3rd, there is no doubt that the community is shocked, surprised, and unhappy. Unfortunately, for the students of Cheltenham High School, this event has just been another regular violent occurrence in our learning environment. Individual students, teachers, and various student organizations, including Student Council, the Women's Student Union, Black Student Union, the Black Scholars Program, Cheltenham Leaders in Equity and Achievement Reform, to name just a few, have requested any response from administration, and yet we have received very little effective solutions or visible changes to our environment, up until now. And now we see this visible response to the reality that we've experienced during our entire high school careers. And we, the disillusioned, confused students, must ask why now? Why not before? Was it because despite teachers warning of this circumstance potentially occurring for years? Was it because this time the fight was leaked to the media? And so we go back to this question, right? Why not before? Why wasn't anything done when very clearly students have needed services or intervention in our school? We, the students, have been blamed for creating this climate, and although we can accept some responsibility, we cannot bear everything on our shoulders. For it is you, administration, that creates the policy, and it is you, administration, that enforces, or rather doesn't enforce it. And Student Council went to administration in January, requesting action to respond to the repeated violent confrontations in our school. And we were told that all disputes were personal between specific individuals and that our community would be safe. And we moved on, feeling unheard and swept under the table. However, we now find it is imperative that we go to the public with our questions, grievances, and most importantly, our solutions. So. Since Thursday, May 4th, Student Council has been actively taking student statements about this incident. We were gathering them through just talking to students in classrooms, in classroom discussions, social media, basically any way that we could get student opinions, questions, concerns. And consistently, students have brought up questions and ideas about our current discipline policies, the changes that are being made to them, the media's role in events, the lack of transparency between administration and stakeholders, the need for mental health and counseling services, and the district-wide issue of the achievement gap. And because of the ineffectiveness of current policies, we know that administration realized that they should construct a new discipline chart for the high school. And we must ask that this chart is complete and official by the 2017-2018 school year. We suggest that students who have been in incidents and disciplined successfully, and teachers who have been a part of successful discipline protocol, be included as advisors in writing the new policy. This inclusion will create a qualitative, data-driven, student-inclusive approach to discipline, something that we believe can be more effective than the traditional top-down policies. We suggest that the policy include consideration of the circumstances of individual perpetrators, including past incidents, mental health, and level of provocation. When these standards are completed and voted on by the board, we must ask that they be shared directly to all stakeholders, students, teachers, and parents. The students ask that restorative practices and preventative measures be a part of the new policy, including the development of youth court, long-term counselors specializing in conflict resolution, effective training in conflict resolution for adults in the building, a special program for freshmen and transfer students with discipline issues, and an assembly during the first week of school that lays out rules and expectations. For me personally, I found the most disturbing and unsettling thing about this entire incident was not only the negative portrayal of our close-knit and loving community, but the perpetuated stereotype of young Black women in the media. This has not been discussed, mentioned, or acknowledged in any formal form by administration, but many Black students want to discuss this. And I informally learned there was one mental health professional leading discussions on this matter, but this wasn't publicized to the student body. And why? How are students supposed to heal when they don't even know the opportunity to get help? Additionally, there has been no acknowledgement from administration about the trolling of white supremacists and racists, no acknowledgement of the parody videos made by surrounding school districts. Again, students need to be aware of any counselors or services available to discuss these deplorable circumstances. We realize right now that a major cause of dysfunction in our school district is a lack of transparency and honest communication between all stakeholders. We as a community must construct a common image to more clearly communicate protocol and policies between students, faculty, and the community. We request regular class meetings or that homeroom be reinstated, so that students can discuss and brainstorm ideas to improve school climate. And although we had a class meeting the day after last week's fights, we appreciate that instructional time was sacrificed to do so, students were still talked at instead of talked with, and they were blamed for the climate emergency. This strategy is not effective, and it perpetuates the student administration conflict that has plagued the school climate since the 2014 sit-in. We ask that the faculty and administration effectively communicate about policies. Students should not have to lose educational opportunities, whether that's through instructional time or teachers leaving CHS, because of the personal problems teachers and administrators have with each other. Students are in school to learn, and teachers are in school to teach, and because of this ongoing conflict, our education is being sacrificed. As a solution to this climate and these repeated violent confrontations, Student Council urges that we improve our mental health and counseling service and address this issue as a unified district. Our guidance department is currently overworked and understaffed. We cannot expect them to work on academic and college logistics and mental health counseling at the same time. We need permanent professionals to help students resolve disputes. And although we thank administration for acknowledging this, with the temporary addition of professionals that specialize in social and emotional conflict related to violent confrontations, we strongly advocate for an individual to be offered a permanent position in our high school. We also ask that administration meets with all student leaders to discuss the lack of mental and emotional health services at the high school. We would like to create a space for students to voluntarily explain mental health and behavioral interventions that have worked to improve upon our policies and approaches. As students that have been in this district for a very long time, we see the culmination and proliferation of violent circumstances in our high school as a district-wide issue. We know that discipline problems begin in the elementary schools and middle schools, as transitions are unsupported and discipline unenforced. We need to diagnose when the issues begin to make the future policies more effective. We hope that the new school board written discipline protocol addresses this. We also want to acknowledge that our district-wide achievement gap contributes to the repeated amount of fights. Our community is incredibly and wonderfully diverse and has many, as you guys know, racial and ethnic identities, social economic statuses, religions, family structures, sexuality, identity, gender identities, all that you get. And this is fabulous. And it makes us who we are. And we need to realize that diversity is our strength, and not just something that we can take in as a soundbite, but actually celebrate it and use.
Hello. Yeah.
But the disparity created by the achievement gap and this continued violent confrontation will only weaken our community. Students who want help can't find it, and they're continually marginalized in a school that ignores their needs. We ask that any new discipline policy takes this disparity into account so that we find a solution that addresses both violent confrontation and the academic divide in our school. But at the end of the day, we, the students of Cheltenham High School, love our community. and we love our school. Even though many of us here standing up here are graduating, we want our district to improve and to give our great high school experience to upcoming students. We all know that this place is very special, but we must fix our problems instead of denying them.